So we've just got to Bicester Performance Centre where we're going to run through a strength and conditioning session, following on from the last episode where I was with Alex, going through my first phase of strength work, which is actually programmed by my strength coach Will. So we're going to give you a bit of a rundown, what we're doing and what we're going to follow through with across this block and the next blocks ahead. Feeling tight this week, lads. Will's got me adding those single legs, so well, when I come back to retesting as well, I'll feel that difference in terms of tolerance from having one side that was weaker, not many reps, to getting in hopefully that even amount up to 60 seconds on each. So I've even the last probably 2-3 weeks felt a big difference, just actually being intentional with strength again, not going through the motions. Like, I think that's a little reminder that we went through on the assessment. It's so easy to get focused on the main thing, which is the running or the triathlon stuff, and the strength, you still tick it off, but you're not super intentional with it. So it feels good to be shifting a good bit of tin again, as I would say. But yeah, just building through some of the basic movement patterns. That's all this phase is really, but it's the simple stuff that works, right? Just done 2 sets of just warming up, just prepping the body. Even though we've done the warm up, we want to go a couple of prep sets before we go to the main stuff. So we're going to be doing 5x5 now, and then we're just going to try progress on what I did last week. So slowly, incrementally building up. So whether that's an extra 2.5 each side, even push for an extra rep we can. We're just making sure we're not going to overload it because we've got a weekend run coming up, so we want to keep the body fresh. So we're going to go up to 60 now, 5 reps, and then just build it each set as we go, and hopefully there's no cramping or tightness going on. So let's get it loaded up. The main thing when we're progressing the weight up through these sets is making sure we're getting enough intensity to get the right stimulus, but not going overboard, because we need to keep the main thing, which is the runs and protecting the body for the weekends. And with doing the sessions strength-wise Wednesday and Friday, I try to go a bit harder on the Wednesday session, so I save myself at the back end of the week, which is normally a bit heavier running-wise and volume. So we're going to build up in this set and then get cracking onto the other movements. I think the important thing to consider as well when you are progressing these up is to have like smaller increments, especially previously when I was training before, maybe the just gym-based work. You're just going back to have an intention with the movement. You need to build gradually rather than going from like 0 to 100 kilo and then like you're only getting half the squat depth, so you're not getting the right stimulus from the movement. So I'm really prioritising form, good depth, making sure I'm actually getting what I need to from the movement, dropping the ego to one side with the weight. So you feel that difference, you feel that benefit, especially when we build that into the running. A little bit more rest. Right, have a slight, probably progression of a couple of kilo each side, and that'll do me on this last set. It's always interesting with my sessions, I try to keep them as short and sharp as I can, just so I'm literally in the gym, I need to get banked what I need to get banked, and then I can get out and do the fun stuff, the running. So it's important to make sure, like even my rest times, I'm just dialed in with those and not just on my phone for like 5 minutes. I'm actually keeping the intention there with the movement. So last set, and then we're going to wrap it up onto the next one, okay? Finito. So we just finished up on the back squats. We did 5x5, and I progressed it on from last week. I think it was a total of 5 kilo, so an extra 2.5 each side. Feel a little bit fresher this week compared to last week, because I'm just getting used to, my body's getting used to the tolerance of moving through a little bit more heavy work again. But we're going to go onto the cables now. We've got a superset of some neutral grip chin-ups, and then we've got some split stance cable power fold, which we shall see in a second. Interesting to see the weaker side now. the hardest thing with those is just getting my position set. Hate those things, but you can just really feel lateral core firing up. Lovely, lovely. Big things for these is actually making sure, similar to when we went through the assessment a few weeks back, that kind of lateral flexion is just building up a lot of strength through that lateral core area, which obviously makes a big difference when you're running. So trying to build it up progressively, but for me it's one of the hardest to build up because you've increased the time you're doing it. But if you go to the next set of weight, you're like, it's just chucking you all about. So it's a tough one to progress, but keeps you honest, I know that. So we just finished up first set of the chin-up, so we're going anything from 3 sets, 10 to 15 reps, and then we're going to progress it, add in some weight back in. Second movement, as you can see, I was shaking quite a bit towards the end. We're really trying to fire up lateral core, similar to my last assessment a few weeks back, looking at kind of lateral fraction, looking at how much range of motion I've got, but this is going to be a big difference, especially from a running aspect, and making sure the later stages of my event, when I'm coming into like the 25, 30k or the marathon, I'm not like hunched over, I'm still keeping upright. These type of movements are absolutely perfect for that. So we're going to go 2 more sets and then we're on to the next part. When you're doing these double days, the amount of showers you have in between is ridiculous, but always double shower, we don't want any smelliness. That set felt better, more locked in position. I think when you're not set, you're constantly fighting against it even more. Whew. It's always interesting when you get to the end of each week. And I only do 2 strength sessions a week at the minute. I mean, got a lot to go through with them as such, like a lot more volume week on week. But it's surprising how from the first week to the 4th week, the recoverability is so different. Body's just building tolerance to it, and it's definitely something to remember when you're first starting out, whether that's in the gym or even running. The principles apply. You need to give it time to actually settle in, build tolerance and get used to it. I don't just turn up and run crazy amounts each week. You have to really build that tolerance, and that comes over months and years of doing it. So even building back in these types of movements, like I'm struggling at the start with them, but I can see that progression week on week. So it's definitely something to remember for myself and then everybody else watching. So 40 minutes done nearly already. The progressions we've gone through. So we're going to go grab just a small set of dumbbells, and we've got a little bit of accessory work just through the lower limb, as well as some plyometrics to go through. So we'll head up to the top and get into those. Grab one of the 12s if there's another one there. Feeling good. It's improving. The first one we went through, half kneeling, single arm kettlebell press. So the big thing when I'm actually in that position is making sure I'm keeping locked in through the glute, so I'm not letting the back kind of drive in or slump back. I'm trying to keep as strict as I can, so I'm engaging through the glutes, keeping that position, and obviously just keeping the core locked in as I'm overhead. And then the second one, I've been trying to progress and add these in as a little bit of an extra. So single leg Romanian deadlift. So the trick for me is making sure, especially because I'm taller, not to just dump my upper body forward. I'm actually using a hip hinge from the side, so I'm actually going, pushing the hips back, getting fired up through the hamstring. You would have seen I was going really controlled on the way down, and then I tried to have that speed as I come back up. So I'm getting that full lengthening range right the way through to the bottom. Slightly pause, keep the tension, then drive back up. And again, it's not super heavy weight, I'm just getting the fundamentals back in. of actually getting that balance back. So again, it's never the heaviest, but you do feel the toughness of the movement. And a kind of tip for these, anything when you're doing single leg work, is try to think of your foot as almost a tripod. So you're not having the feet completely together and knocking you off balance, which you saw a couple of my reps went. It just reminded myself to kind of spread the foot and grip the floor. So you're really getting fired up through the ankle, which helps create a little bit more stability. So a little bit of rest, 2 more sets of these to go. I can just feel the form breaking on the last couple. It's an improvement though, it's an improvement. So 1 more set we got. All done on those. So we've just got a couple of power based movements to do. 3 sets of those, 5 reps, and then we're done. Finished. So we just finished up our second strength session of the week. Main focus for today was some back squats and some power work. So I've gone up by 5 kilos on my back squat this week, which I'm happy about. I've got some early gains in this first 4 weeks because I'm introducing them back in with some good intention. We then made sure for the session we had some pushing work, which we just finished up on, some hinging work, some squatting work, and some pulling work. So we're hitting our main movement patterns, as well as some accessory work when we was doing the split stance hold. So we've hit every movement pattern, we've got some power work in there, and made sure at the start we had our mobility work. So every area hit. We've only got 2 runs left for this week, tomorrow and Sunday, and that's the week wrapped up.